Have you ever done something and wondered, why did I just do that? Have you ever felt a sudden wave of anger, envy, or fear, and it didn't make sense? As if someone else took over? What if the parts of you that scare you the most are not your enemy, but your doorway to truth? And what if your greatest fear isn't being misunderstood by others, but being exposed to yourself? We spend so much time polishing the surface of who we are. We curate, we perform, but beneath the image, behind the voice, underneath the smile, there's something else. Carl Jung called it the shadow, the hidden self. Not evil, not broken, just unseen. Today, we're going to step into that shadow, not to be consumed by it, but to finally understand it. Because the shadow, once faced, no longer controls us. It reveals us. What is the shadow? Jung described the shadow as the unconscious part of the psyche, everything about ourselves that we reject, suppress, or refuse to accept. It's not just anger or shame. It's also power, creativity, and truth that we've locked away because somewhere along the line, we believed it was bad to feel it. Maybe you were told as a child that expressing frustration made you difficult, so now you hide your anger, you bottle it, you smile. But emotions don't disappear. They just go underground, and eventually they explode. Or worse, they leak into relationships, decisions, and habits you don't fully understand. The shadow isn't something evil inside you. It's the unacknowledged self, and the longer we avoid it, the more it acts out, without our awareness. Question is how the shadow shows up in daily life. You see your co-worker succeed and feel a pang of envy. You tell yourself, I'm happy for them, but part of you isn't. You feel ashamed for resenting them. That's the shadow. Jealousy tied to your own repressed desire to be seen, validated, or successful. Or you meet someone too kind, too forgiving, and you want to protect them from being taken advantage of. But a small, uncomfortable voice inside asks, why does their kindness irritate me? Maybe because you've buried your own softness. Maybe the world taught you that being gentle is unsafe. The shadow doesn't shout. It whispers. It shows up in projection, when we see in others what we can't face in ourselves. There's a story Jung told about a man who spent his life being good, polite, generous, moral. But inside, he was restless, short-tempered, secretly judgmental. He thought he was becoming better, but really, he was becoming divided. His goodness wasn't false, it was forced. It was a mask that ignored half of who he really was. Eventually, the parts he repressed started to surface. He began lashing out, not at strangers, but at those closest to him. Why? Because when we don't face the shadow, it doesn't disappear. It just chooses the time and place it wants to appear. We all wonder why we avoid the shadow. It's easy to point fingers at the world, to say, I'm this way because of them, my parents, my job, my past. And yes, they shape us, deeply. But the shadow isn't built by trauma alone. It's also shaped by society's expectations, the unspoken rules about what's acceptable, what's lovable. A boy is told not to cry. so he becomes emotionally numb. A girl is told not to be too ambitious, so she dulls her fire. As adults, we carry those messages in silence. We smile, we say we're fine, but part of us never really left that room where we first learned to hide. Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. Here's the truth. No self-help book wants to tell you, you can't fix the shadow, you can only face it. And in that facing, something shifts. This isn't about becoming perfect, it's about becoming whole. You acknowledge the anger without letting it rule you. You meet your jealousy and ask what it's protecting. You sit with the fear and see the child behind it. Facing the shadow is a process. It's not an overnight epiphany. It's a long, quiet conversation with yourself. But it's the only conversation that matters, because when you stop hiding from who you are, you start becoming who you were meant to be. A woman once told me about a moment that broke her. She was in a therapy session talking about her strained relationship with her daughter. "She's so angry all the time," she said. "I don't understand where it comes from." The therapist asked, "Were you ever allowed to be angry as a child?" She paused. "No," she said. "I was punished if I raised my voice. I learned to stay quiet." And then it clicked. Her daughter wasn't just angry. She was expressing what the mother had long buried, what the mother deep down had never been allowed to feel. The daughter was the mirror. And that's the uncomfortable gift of the shadow. It reflects. We live in a world obsessed with image. We filter our faces, we filter our emotions, we hide depression with productivity, we hide grief with jokes, we hide anger with politeness, but hiding costs us. It keeps us afraid, it keeps us stuck in patterns, it keeps us chasing external solutions for internal wounds. Jung didn't offer a cure. He offered a path, a way to walk toward the darkness, not to be consumed by it, but to claim the parts of us we were taught to exile. He believed that integration, not perfection, is what heals us. There's a quiet, defiant hope in all of this. You are not broken. You are not too much. You are not your mistakes or your darkness or your fear. You are simply human. And the shadow? It's not a flaw. It's an invitation. To stop pretending. To stop hiding. To stop fearing the mirror. You don't need to kill your shadow to become whole. You just need to meet it with courage, with compassion, and with the understanding that wholeness was never about being good. It was always about being real. So, what would happen if you sat in silence today and asked, what part of me have I been running from? What truth have I buried under politeness, productivity, or fear? And what might happen if I let that part speak, without shame, without judgment, just once? You may be surprised by what you hear. You may even meet yourself for the first time. That is the beginning, and that is the work we all can do. At the end, if you learned something new or found this helpful, a quick subscribe would mean a lot.